I'll tell you what, why don't I be your host? My name is Don Ecker. You are tuned in to Dark Matters Radio, heard exclusively on the new, the improved, the big network of Cyberstation USA. And pal, we surround the globe, and I do mean that. Before we get into tonight's show, have you yet checked out the brand new CyberstationUSA.com portal? Well, soon, that is, if I can get the makeup people in here, you're going to be able to see my lovely mug on the Dark Matters site as we do the show. I went out today and got myself a super-duper high-definition webcam, which is all part of the fun that is now happening up there. Look, if you haven't checked it out, what do I got to do? Do I got to beg? Go up to CyberstationUSA.com, get your free membership, and then come into Dark Matters Radio, friend the show page, and I will get you hooked up immediately. Because, man, there are lots and tons of things to do. It is basically an entirely new social network that gives you so many things to do, and there's so many people that are signing up right now. It's blowing my mind. I kid you not. Okay, well, if you've noticed, and if you've been a fan of the program, Richard has not been on for, well, about a week and a half, closing in on 2 weeks because of technical things that were going on. Then, not to mention, his usual spot, which is on Friday, was preempted by a very special show. And we're going to be talking a little more about that. But I'll tell you what, without a lot of further ado, let me get Richard switched right in here. Rich, how you doing, pal?
Great, Bud. How you doing?
Hey, we are hanging loose, Rich. Hanging loose.
Monday night, it feels kind of weird to be starting the week with you live rather than finishing the week, you know?
Yeah, well, hey, just look at it this way. Hell, you may have several spots on this week.
oh, man, I'll tell my agent so he can up my rate.
There you go. Yes, sir. Hey, what'd you think of this past week?
Well, you know, I'm kind of stuck on Friday night because Friday night was sort of like the capper. As I told my son when you were preparing for Friday night's show, I said, Don's never at his, he's always at his best when he's doing an expose. The bulldog cop comes out in him. And I found the show, such a myriad of feelings that surround it, Don, I'm sure for you especially. How long have you known Cal Korff?
Oh, well, I met him very briefly back in the early 90s, somewhere back around the early to mid-90s, just about the time he was doing his Billy Meyer expose book. And I had a guy on the program, and I'm talking about my early show, UFOs Tonight.
At CRN.
At CRN, yeah. And I had a guy that I was interviewing, and there was a lot of controversy. He was a videographer and some other things. He was closely connected to the Meyer case. His name was Jim Delatosa.
Oh, Jim, sure.
Yeah, and there was a big question at that time because he was starting to go around and present himself as Jim Delatosa, Ph.D. Well, the fact of the matter was Jim didn't have a Ph.D.
Oops.
And, he was on the show, and Korff called him in and really started grilling him about this. And, I basically pulled it out of him that this was allegedly an honorary Ph.D. that he was presented, but Korff really, and at the time he was living here in California. Now, I didn't know him well. As a matter of fact, he mentioned me in his book on the Billy Meyer case. It's kind of funny. He called me the Larry King of the UFO talk radio.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now
what
guy to go to?
Yeah. Now what happened? At the time, like I said on the show the other night, what really caught my interest was when he pulled that stunt with Art Bell. Now, and Bell, God, at the time, there was nobody bigger at night in talk radio than Art Bell. And, let me think. Rush Limbaugh was on the air during the day, but Bell ruled the night from coast to coast. And when people started sending him, this information about Korff claiming that Bell used his influence and power to keep Korff off the air, he just went kind of crazy. Well, I played that. Now, I kind of figured that was going to be the end of it. Now, how I came up on his radar after he split the country, and it's my understanding right now that a lawyer that I know, supposedly one of the reasons that Korff split was trying to serve him with papers for a slander and libel lawsuit, and that's one of the reasons Korff skipped the country. Now, this is what I was told.
How long ago did he skip the country?
Oh, it's been a few years ago, but he's been over there for a number of years. He's been in Europe. So,
is he an American citizen?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, his family, his mother lives up in Oregon, I believe, and his brother is in the Oregon Penitentiary up there. So,
okay, so they're local.
Oh, yeah, local. So anyway, several years ago, I got an email from, of all people, Alfred Weber. Okay? And he was asking me, because this was around the anniversary of the Phoenix Lights case that took place back in '97. I believe this was in 2007. And basically, Korff had written something and had it out there, Colonel Cal Korff of the Special Secret Services and former Level 3 analyst at Lawrence Livermore Lab. And Weber asked me, he said, is this true? Is this man really, a colonel that used to be a Level 3 analyst? So, like a dumbass, Rich, instead of being smart, keeping my mouth shut, I answered the guy. And I said, well, I kind of doubt it, because at that time, Korff had already started going after Kevin Randle. And Randle either had just come back from one of his overseas military trips or was in the process of leaving. Now, I've known Randle for a long time. And Randle and I both have Vietnam in our backgrounds. And Kevin stayed in the military, in the Guard. And, he's got a tour in Iraq. He was over there 14 months.
Yeah.
So, now Korff, he really kind of pissed me off when he started trying to ride Randle. And when he called Randle a coward, boy, that really did it for me. So I get all these letters from him, and he's going to sue me, and he's threatening me, and he's telling me this and that, My attitude was, hey, pal, do what you got to do. So I finally, when I started getting letters from his former Czechoslovakian supermodel administrative assistant, I had to kind of think that something here was not quite kosher, if you know what I mean. This guy is definitely teetering off the rails. Did he forget to renew his medication or what?
So what? I would say, I don't know. It's interesting to see. You know, this is such a field of characters, I'll tell you.
You think? Well, hey, it gets better, though. It really gets better. So, anyway, finally, I've been going a few months, and I haven't gotten or heard anything from Korff. And some time ago, a number of months ago, you know who Phil Mantle is, right?
Philip Mantle, sure.
Philip Mantle, yeah, British UFO researcher. Now he's involved with a publication, UFO Matrix. It was actually Mantle who first put me on to this whole alien autopsy thing.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, he'd been bugging me to come on this show. He wanted me to interview him. And he wanted me to, basically, he's trying to plug his magazine, okay? So I told him, I said, well, yeah, we certainly could set something up, but you're in the UK, do you have Skype? And he said, no. And I said, well, get Skype and let me know. Now, Rich, you know, how tough is it to get Skype? You go up to their goddamn website, you download the file, you install it, right? 10 minutes later, bingo, you're ready to go. Well, not old Phil. So weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks go by. And in the meantime, he's got a new issue of his magazine comes out. And I saw somebody talking about it and said, you're never going to believe who he has writing in that magazine.
Let me guess. Cal Korff.
Absolutely right on, amigo. You got it.
What is the name of Mantle's magazine?
UFO Matrix.
UFO Matrix. Okay.
So, I get a note from him, from Phil, and he says, hey, Don, I've got Skype. Oh, well, that's nice, Phil. Now I got a question for you. Yeah. I said, let me ask you, is it true that you just had Phil Mantle, or that you, Phil, just had Cal Korff in your magazine? Yeah, he just wrote a story about, I believe he said, the McMinnville UFO case.
Well, close to home.
Yeah, close to home.
It's Oregon, right?
Yeah, and I said, Phil, now you've been in this field a long time. I can't believe that you don't know what kind of a guy this is. And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you start asking people like Stanton Friedman, Kevin Randall, David Biedney, Lauren Coleman, and I named some other people, and ask them what this guy has done, not to mention what he is alleged to have done over in Czechoslovakia, and all the crap that he's been trying to stir up, and these lunatic YouTube rants that he's put up there that are so banal. I mean, it's unbelievable. So Mantle got a little pissed at me. Isn't that too bad? And I said, well, Phil, I said, why would I want to interview you on this show, okay, on my show, when you have a lunatic like that in your magazine? And he said, well, hey, you used to publish a magazine. I said, yeah. Well, didn't you ever have anybody? I said, Phil, my wife and I vetted everybody that was in that magazine. And, Phil, if we got snookered by anybody, then we immediately did a mea culpa in the next issue, or I took it on the radio.
It's called journalism.
Yeah, well, that's what it's called. He said, I can't vet everybody that writes for my magazine. I said, hey, fine, do what you got to do. So a little bit of time goes by. He writes me back. And I said, what's this? So I open it up. I want you to know I sent all your communications to me for Cal Korff for him to examine them.